So as you see on your screen, Lennox, the hater Lewis, has reacted to Anthony Joshua schooling, absolutely schooling Andy, the student, Ruiz. First of all, he starts off by replying to someone who asked him the following question. The man said to him, "Hey champ, what are your thoughts on AJ vs Ruiz fight last night? AJ didn't go in there and take him out like you did to Rahman. He ran all night. Hashtag disappointed." Lewis the hater said, "Every fight isn't going to be a KO. I thought AJ fought a good tactical fight and didn't fall into the trap of trying to mix it up in exchanges. This was a good addition to his experience. He also wisely unpacked his jab for this one." Now, just quickly, that, to be fair to Lennox Lewis, he hasn't come across as a complete hater, and in fact, I think Lennox Lewis is absolutely blown back by AJ's performance. I think he's in shock. I think a lot of the boxing world is in shock, to be honest with you. Many people, including Lennox Lewis, thought he was this, thought he was that, thought he was chinless, thought he was rubbish and whatnot. And AJ's gone out there and he's performed. He's completely shut out. Listen, when Lennox Lewis fought Tua, he didn't win 12 rounds. As an example, Tua, in my opinion, in fact, factually, Tua does not have quicker hands than Andy Ruiz. Tua does not throw... I watched the fight back in the last 24 hours, by the way, to make sure I was correct. Andy Ruiz has much faster hands and throws much more combinations than Tua does. And Lennox Lewis didn't win 12 rounds against Tua. That's what we do know, factually. So as I was saying, no one was expecting that kind of performance, and Lennox Lewis is well and truly shell-shocked. And when you're shell-shocked, the hatred can't seep through. He's in shock. I'm not being funny. AJ has out Lennox Lewis. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe AJ could have. AJ didn't get out of first gear. I do believe AJ could have, if he had decided to, stopped Ruiz that night. However, I understand, coming back, you want to blow the cobwebs off. Trust me. We know the scary thing is, AJ's known for his inside work. He's known for being a hammer. You watch and wait these next few years when he puts it all together. He's going to come out, the first 4 or 5 rounds, he's going to outbox people, get his jab going, and then he's going to start teeing off. That's how I see this AJ story ending. I can see perfectly now where it's going. He's gone from being this allegedly one-dimensional fighter to having the whole damn lot now. All he's got to do now, he's got all of the individual things, as in he can out Tyson Fury. He can eat people up on the inside, a la Dillian White, as an example, in that fight. That was 4 years ago, by the way. Now, all he needs to do is put it all together into one 12-round performance. Mix all of it together, and it's going to be scary, man. Completely scary. And when he does mix it all together, that's how you knock out and make someone like Andy Ruiz quit and or stop them. I see Andy Ruiz 3 or 4 years from now, when the rematch comes around, if Andy Ruiz earns it, which I think he probably can if he is dedicated, AJ will stop him. If he goes in there with that mentality of Ruiz is getting stopped. AJ and his team went in there with the mentality of, we're just going to go 12 rounds. Let's not forget that. A lot of it's about what you're trying to do. Their game plan was just to go in there and get the win. Get the dub back. Which I understand given June 1st. Why don't you do this? It's a scary prospect, you know, where this is going. By the way, last night's performance was essentially AJ's worst. What's the word? That's what AJ's worst at. That's his worst skill. His backboxing, in my opinion. And look how great that was. His worst thing, and it looked that great. It looked that clean. Wait until he's doing his best work, or wait until he's mixing it all up. It's gonna be, in my opinion, people can call me a fangirl. If AJ puts all the things together, I think he can possibly go down as the greatest ever. I'm sorry, man. I can just see it now. If he puts it all together, now, don't get me wrong. If he doesn't put it all together, then he won't be. But I'm saying he has the physical, genetic ability to go down as the greatest. Because I'm not being funny, Ali didn't have the power. He didn't have the sheer... He didn't have that part of it, unfortunately. But I'm saying in terms of athletically wise and genetic wise. Now, we haven't seen AJ prove he's got the... We haven't, like, Ali's been in there with Foreman and he stood there with his hands up and took big shots. We haven't seen AJ prove that yet. We haven't seen AJ in an actual fight. We have, tell a lie, we've still the Klitschko fight, but even then, Klitschko isn't known as a massive finisher. What I'm saying is, Ali is Ali's heart and his... We haven't seen AJ in a fight yet prove he's got that... He can come back, essentially. He can come back from being beat up for 6 rounds, as an example, and win. Do you know what I mean? We haven't seen that part of it yet. But that's in the future. In fact, to be honest, I'm not even sure it is, because there ain't no one out there who's going to be able to beat him up. But, do you know what I mean? He's got things to prove, of course, but I'm saying AJ's bottom line fundamentals, what the package he has, I think he can go out there and eclipse a lot of them, personally speaking. But we'll see how it plays out going forward. Back to this Lennox the Hater Lewis situation. As I said, he's shell shocked. And just quickly on this note, this man here talking about I thought it makes me laugh. Look, AJ didn't go in there and take him out like you did against Rahman. I'm glad he brought up Rahman, and this is something that I want to quash right now. And to be fair to Lennox Lewis, he didn't say this himself. He could have come out and responded to this Twitter person and said, yeah, you're right, AJ didn't finish him, I would have finished him. And one thing I want people to realise, I think, was it Oliver McCall? Whoever, I'm not sure who it was. Whoever was first, whether it was Rahman or Oliver McCall, I think it was McCall, but whoever it was, whoever knocked Lennox Lewis spark out, by the way. Whoever did that the first time. Let's get something straight. This Twitter guy has said, oh, yeah, when you lost to Rahman, you came back and knocked him out. The key difference here is this. When Lennox Lewis took his first loss, did Lennox Lewis have the balls? Did Lennox Lewis have the heart? Did he have the noddle, the grit, the whatever you want to call it, the confidence, in fact? Did he have the confidence to go straight back in there on an immediate rematch? Answer me that, Mr. the Blankwivist. Yeah? Let's not worry about what you did. The fact of the matter is, when Lennox Lewis had his first loss, he didn't rematch that man for another 3 years. I believe it was McCall. When Lennox Lewis got lost to McCall, he didn't rematch him immediately. He went away for 3 years and rebuilt his confidence, fighting a whole load of stiffs in the meantime. So that there's the key difference. People can sit there, oh, well, when he lost, he did this. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, let's get it straight. I'm pretty sure if AJ had gone away and had 3 or 4 warm-up fights, then yeah, he may well have gone in there and stopped Ruiz. I'm under no illusion there. Imagine if AJ had come back and performed like he did against Ruiz last night, brushed his cobwebs off, and then had another 2 fights, like Fury style, having a load of warm-up fights, and then fought Ruiz. I'm pretty sure he probably would have steamrolled him as well. But unfortunately, AJ and his team didn't have that luxury. They had to go in there with a lot of questions and take minimum risk. And that's how people want it all, don't they? They want the immediate rematch. They want you to do it all. Oh, not only do we want the immediate rematch, we also want you to go in there and trade 50-50. Now, I do actually think that AJ could have traded a bit more, I'm not going to lie. However, I understand why they didn't. Because, number one, why take the risk if you don't have to? And number two, he had this loss, by the way. Let's get it right. And from their point of view, they were under a lot of pressure. Was it worth it? Was it worth... in this one comeback fight, is it worth it? Now, going forward in his career, I think it is worth it. I think he's going to have to mix it up more. You can't just rely on that kind of style. That's what made, to Lennox Lewis's credit, what made Lennox Lewis great, in my opinion, was the fact he never just ran around the place. He always did mix it up well. I've just watched the Tyson fight. I watched the Tyson fight back, the Tua fight. Yeah, I've watched all of the fights where he fought small people. The Ray Mercer fight, all them fights, and every single one of them, Lennox Lewis held his feet for half of the fight and banged. So I have to give credit there, and that's something that AJ needs to learn to mix in more going forward. But anyway, that was the first response. Another response was the following. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Just quickly, I think Rahman was the second rematch, and just to say, Lennox Lewis, to his credit, he did come back the second loss. After Lennox Lewis's second loss, he did come back and rematch him immediately, but once again, that's after a second loss. Yeah? AJ did it on the first loss. Meaning that it takes a lot more confidence and you have to be a lot more daring to rematch someone immediately after your first loss. After Lennox Lewis's first loss, he went away and took 3 fights to come back and do it again. So people have to bear that in mind. And yeah, Lennox Lewis did stop Rahman, which was his second loss straight away. But if AJ loses again, you just don't know. And I'm not being, in my personal opinion, I don't think there's anyone out there who can make AJ lose again now. I think he's locked it all in. all them little holes and little mistakes he was making, I think by now, or after another year or two, 6 months, I think it's going to be impossible for him to lose. There's no one good enough out there. Maybe Wilder can get a lucky right hand. Maybe. I wouldn't bet on it though, that's for sure. I'm taking AJ all day now. I took him all day anyway, but I'm saying I'd take him all day against anyone. Fury, if AJ employs the right strategy, gets knocked out. Yeah? Wilder, if he employs the right strategy, gets knocked out. AJ knocks out every single person in heavyweight boxing today if he employs a stoppage strategy. Equally, to be fair, I reckon AJ can outbox Fury and outbox Wilder. So it just depends which way AJ wants to do it, and that's a great place to be. He has the genetic possibility to go in there and stop and or beat them on points. He can do it any way they want. He can give it to them any way they want. He wants to give it to them. Almost Floyd Mayweather style. Floyd Mayweather, yes, he didn't. That's why I criticise Floyd Mayweather, because he never really went in there and gave it to everyone. He had that great ability to just get through fights, and that's what he did. He did the bare minimum, which don't really get credit for me. You have to go, in my opinion, to be known as an ultra great, you have to go in there and really give it your all. And anyway, that's for another day. The next response was the following. Someone said, Ian Joy said to Lennox Lewis, personally, I'd say you have to knock out the champ to win. However, just my personal opinion. What a muppet. Lennox Lewis replies, you do know there are actual rules to boxing, don't you? Yeah, that's a fair reply. Listen, he's got a lot of goony people. I'd personally say you have to knock out the champ. Well, that means, so you're saying the belts only ever change hands if you knock them out? Good luck with that one. The next reply. That's a tactical response from you after saying AJ was a clown when he lost. Anyway, AJ deserved that credit. It was fine boxing, and Andy was well outboxed. Lennox Lewis says, so now it's been rewritten, I called him a clown after he lost. Maybe you should go back to my tweets and have a look at exactly what I said back then. That's not really responding to the fight. I think this is the last one here. Someone says to Lennox Lewis, I think what you wanted was a performance like we saw last night. Tactical, disciplined and mature. AJ looked like a champion, making sure he was in control of the result. Lennox Lewis replies, I understand that people want blood, but as a fighter, you have to be disciplined enough to wait for the opportunities to open up. Sometimes they don't come. When that happens, you play it safe and stick to a game plan. Fair play to Lennox. Like I said, I feel like Lennox has been truly bamboozled. He has been truly humbled. He, like many others, thought AJ was a big, stiff, chinless weightlifter. And like everyone else in the heavyweight division today. In fact, yeah, like everyone else currently in the heavyweight division today. Lennox Lewis is glad he ain't in the ring today, because he'd get his head boxed off. That's what would happen, no doubt. Well, listen, your boy Lennox, it's finally dawned on him now. That's why he ain't got no more hate left in him. Sometimes it does that to you. Sometimes when you see a boxing performance so dominant, the hate just gets evaporated. The hate almost gets the hate Lennox Lewis had for AJ was boxed away last night. Oh, and that's happened a lot, to be fair. A lot of people who didn't think AJ was anything have been proved wrong. In fact, all you've got to do is look at all the haters around. Look at all the LDBC. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, you know. I actually couldn't believe it. All the LDBC are now coming out saying, oh, AJ outboxed, AJ schooled, AJ this, AJ that. I can't believe what I was hearing. Of course they're still saying Wilder will beat him, but the fact they're giving him credit, that just goes to show, you know, when your arch enemies give you credit, that there's something, that was a serious performance. He won 12. When was the last fight you watched where a fighter wins 12 rounds? Not to mention against a unified champion. Tell me the last time you've seen a unified champion lose 12 rounds back to back. Especially after having beaten the opponent in devastating fashion the first time. AJ came off a stoppage loss to win 12 rounds back to back. It wasn't even close. I'm not being funny. I think Ruiz probably landed about 3 shots the whole fight. And even then, what do we know? When Ruiz did land the shots, AJ, rather than go back to the corner and get rest, he was so fresh, he stood in the middle of the ring and looked at the camera and put his hands in the air as if to say, what's everyone cheering for? They didn't do a damn thing to me. And then he went back to his corner. That's the class we're talking here. It's unparalleled level of class. People talk about Fury. When was the last time Fury won 12 round? What do you mean? Oh, wait a minute. You mean he went life and death with Wallin? Do you know what Ruiz would have done to Fury on that night? Well, on any night, to be fair, but imagine put Ruiz in the ring there with Fury squared up, going life and death with Wallin. Fury would be splattered on the ring. That's what we do know, by the way. Splattered. He almost got splattered anyway. In fact, his eye did get splattered against Wallin, a man who don't even know how to punch, who don't have no combinations, who's no good in his own right, who's a sparring partner, a glorified sparring partner. Factually, yeah? Fury goes life and death with AJ's former sparring partner. AJ's amateur sparring partner, that was, by the way. No disrespect to him, I'm just saying. That's the level there we're talking. And you want to talk about who's good at boxing, and you got Ben Davison coming out saying, poor man's Tyson Fury. When has Tyson Fury won 12 rounds? Seriously, when has he done it? All I know is, against Wilder, he ended up on his back. Against Wallin, he ended up with his eye split and he's punched in. And I'm trying to think. Against McDermott, got his head boxed off. Yeah? Never mind poor man's Fury. When Fury got put in there with a poor man's Ruiz in McDermott has much slower hands than Ruiz, much slower feet than Ruiz, much less combination than Ruiz. And Fury got bashed all around the ring by McDermott. That's the facts of the matter. Yeah? That's what we do know. Anyway, there's Lennox Lewis' response. Fair play to him, though. Even though he's bamboozled, even though he's starstruck by AJ's performance, I'll give him his credit. When people drop the hate, they drop the hate. So I'll give fair play to him for that. But it's a shame it took AJ to give someone that kind of boxing lesson. It's a shame AJ has to dish out boxing lessons like that for people to realise the greatness.